If you found this video enjoyable, please leave a like and hell, even subscribe if you want to. It only takes 2 clicks, and push that notification bell just to get the messages for my videos. That would be greatly appreciated. I don't have an intro for this video because I keep on messing up several times in a row, but you've seen the title of this video. Jolyne versus Giorno. Simple enough, cool battle, both Jotaro and Dio's children fighting in an epic battle. I think it's pretty cool. I hope you think it's really cool. Today I have Jobber on the channel. Jobber, would you like to introduce yourself?
What's up, everybody? It's your alleged father, Jobber Godot.
You don't need to start making 6 jokes off the bat, bro. I'm keeping that in the video. I've tried to record this intro several times. I'm done. That is the intro. You are now Six's father canonically on my channel now.
Let's go.
So that's it. So yeah, jokes aside, today's video is going to be pretty interesting. I got Jobber with me, and we're just going to kind of explain this fight and explain both the characters and see how, you know, it kind of plays out, because I think it's actually pretty honestly interesting overall. Both characters are very intelligent, very powerful, and have extremely cool stands that I think can honestly work pretty well together in a fight. So, you know, I think Jobber should start off first because he knows Jolyne a lot better than I do. Jobber, take the boat.
Okay, taking the boat, rocking the boat. All right, so Jolyne, right? So with her abilities she gets from the stand, or piece of the stand, or granted by her like father, you know, Giorno Cujoh, she has this ability like which is called Stone Free. It's just strings essentially. It's let's be honest, everybody, it's not that good of ability, but she makes work with it. Okay, so let's go over like some things she does with it, right? So she can just like pretty much like split limbs off of people with her like how sharp her strings are. She can hear people from far away. One of the most impressive things she does with this like her strings is that it's very like malleable. So basically what I'm saying by that is that, for example, she can use Stone Free to punch through like you know, fences and stuff, and the strings just like, you know, all mesh, like they kind of like mesh through the fence, if that makes sense, right? They don't like punch exactly through it or try to bend through it or whatever, if you get what I mean. Exactly what she did to the chick that turned her little, right? Then we've got her stand like automatically defending herself even if she's not even conscious of it, just like actually kind of mirroring how, you know, Jotaro's stand, you know, defended himself when he shot himself in the head. She can make her stand into a net. Very simple. Once again, it's just strings. And then we've got like actually she does this multiple times in the series, which she is able to hide or place her strings into, let's say, contraptions like guns, for example, like the bullet holes in guns and other contraptions. So if you fire, let's say, a projectile through a gun, right, or the bullet, it's just gonna go in multiple different directions because there's already strings inside of your gun barrel, and the strings are making it go somewhere else. Very simple. She can unravel herself completely, put herself into other people or whatever, and also like use that to run on water, that's kind of stuff. And other things she can do is, for example, if an opponent tries to like punch through her, she'll just like unravel her like stomach or whatever and trap you if you try to punch through that area. She can also, once again, putting her strings inside like bullet holes. Like let's say if you shoot a bullet at her and her strings are already inside your gun barrel, let's say that bullet, as soon as it reaches her, it's gonna stop because the strings are already connected to it and she just stopped it, right? Very simple. She can also use her strings to mend together her wounds. She also has like strings to make threads, right? Or, you know, let's say covers, right? In order to protect herself. One of her abilities, she can also sense like life with her strings by like, you know, making a whole like a string area. Okay, basically it's like a tripwire essentially, and if you trip any of those strings when she's trying to find an invisible opponent or opponent that's hiding, she's gonna immediately know where you are because, well, you're touching her life force, right? So she's gonna know where you are pretty much. And one of the most insane things she does with her string abilities, or the most brutal, is that she can put the strings inside of like a person's body and try to mangle them from the inside out. So I guess another like a durability negation type of thing going on. She can also like rip people apart, like, you know, for example, right, unravel people alive or whatever. It's pretty brutal, like what she does in the prison art. One of her most impressive string feats were she was able to make a Mobius strip out of herself, which is highly impressive given the situation that it was to counter a gravity ability. So that's pretty funny. All right, so after talking about her abilities, let's go over her AP and speed. Now, I think AP is going to be the easiest part. Speed's going to be the hardest, but let's just do the AP, right? So AP for her is relatively pretty simple. I guess the main thing, we're just going to go straight to the point, right? Cut to the meteor feat, because that's her most popular feat that she does with her AP, and that has been consistently calced from, you know, let's just say city block to large town, and we're not going to know exactly how powerful this feat is until the anime like time frame arises. So for now, we're going to at least scale her at least close to Star Platinum via her being able to like hurt Poochie like really badly. And I don't know what you're thinking, like, well, why are we using like Poochie as like the measuring stone of like, okay, being able to like hurt him really badly is impressive. It's like, well, okay, a bloodlusted Star Platinum couldn't kill him. It like, he literally like fucking hit the guy in the dome and he's like, oh shit, I'm fine or whatever, I'm still gonna achieve heaven. He's still alive somehow, right? And Jotaro still tries tries to kill him after that but fails, right? So at least we could scale Jolyne at least a little bit close to that, and give him my scaling my videos on Jotaro, at least the new meta, because at least Star Platinum city level plus, so at least put Jolyne at least that small city in terms
which
of
is
AP,
pretty
right?
agreeable, by the way. I'm just gonna clarify that now, which is fine. I've seen people scale Jolyne higher and lower, so Jabber's going for a safe medium here that even I agree with, just FYI.
Yeah, and then for speed, now this one's at least a little bit of a harder part. Speed in part 6 is a bit weird, right? So we have 3 things we can generally look at, right? So here's the first thing. So the first thing is we have the heavy weather feat, where he just removes the Earth's entire ozone layer, and the light that comes down to Earth, right? At least he's making other people perceive that light coming from the sun down to Earth is just like snails, right? And you got Annesley, who's able to react to literally just light coming from the sun, which was of course calced as a 2 times faster than light feat, right? And that kind of stuff. And then we have another, at least a speed feat technically, which is the whole gravity thing. So Pucci just has natural gravity manipulation. He's just using natural gravity, right? He's not just making it or whatever. Essentially what he does is that he punches Jolyne, and gravity is moving through Jolyne to turn her inside out. Now, and she also makes a Mobius strip before it actually does fully. Now, why is this impressive is because gravity actually moves at the speed of light. So that would technically be a speed of light to at least faster than light feet, because she just does, it's on her person, and she just does it immediately that fast.
Which is kind of consistent with later things that we're going to talk about, which is an outlier. I won't lie. I guess we can talk about that now since we're still talking about speed.
Yeah, might as well, right? So an outlierish feat, right? Near the end of Stone Ocean is when Jolyne is fighting Maiden Heaven Pucci, she's able to tag him with a knife. It's so stupid. And then immediately after, she just gets Bloodstone one-shot, and also in a scenario where apparently Pucci's supposed to be slower in water or whatever, but she tagged him when he was outside of the water. It doesn't make sense, but
Pucci can be calced to immeasurable to infinite speeds, and the fact that Jolyne just randomly tags him with a knife out of nowhere, honestly, is just kind of an outlier and kind of inconsistent a little bit, but she's able to do other things, so it's not consistent. Me and Jobber would kind of agree with that, she's able to do certain things in the manga, and just she's able to contest with characters that are at light speeds and then just infinity out of nowhere. It's just really weird. So moving on to Giorno and his abilities. Now, Gold Experience is Giorno's stand, and he has a lot going for him. So the primary ability that Giorno likes to use within part 5 is Life Giver. Giorno hits an inanimate object and it becomes a small life form, basically ranging from butterflies, frogs, birds, some types of insects. Basically, Giorno is able to make life out of nothing. Now, on first glance, it's not very powerful, but it actually kind of is. It actually goes into another ability, Damage Reflection. Now, Damage Reflection is actually extremely busted. From what we know, Damage Reflection only activates when animals are nearby that Giorno has created. Now, if you were to attack an animal for, let's say, a shovel like, Luca did on top of an animal's head, that damage or action would automatically reflect back onto you. So, of course, in that similar case, Luca, smashed his head and actually dying from it. So it actually is extremely powerful and can kill you. So Giorno does have this extremely powerful ability that he actually only ever uses once. This will actually be a very common trend for Giorno. Giorno only ever uses his abilities once for whatever reason. Maybe because Araki knew that, Giorno's actually busted. Who actually knows here? But, regardless. On top of Life Giver and everything else, he actually uses Life Giver pretty consistently, unlike his other abilities that are going to be, told about in the rest of this video, of course. So the counterpart to Life Giver is Life Exhaustion. So during the Black Sabbath fight, yet once again this ability only ever gets used once, is that Giorno is able to hit a tree and make it go through its entire life cycle within an instant, going from a small tree to a dead tree in a fragment of a second against Black Sabbath. So this possibly means that Giorno has a one-shot ability in his toolkit that he only ever uses once. It is never brought up again in part 5 for whatever reason, just like Damage Reflection, but it's still in his kit. I would still like to mention. And probably the most infamous, hey, this never shows up again, a feat is his Enhanced Senses. So if Gold Experience punches you like he did against Bruno, you will experience an out-of-body phenomenon where you think you have all this energy, all this power to, move around, but in actuality, Giorno's actually making you have this out-of-body experience where you can't use your body. It's kind of like a lag effect in all honesty, and I know a lot of people like to hype up this ability, but I'm gonna play devil's advocate here and say that it's actually not good at all. It just kind of gives you, the opportunity to beat someone up, basically. It's pretty okay compared to, Life Giver, or Damage Reflection, or Life Exhaustion. Those abilities are a lot better. With Life Giver, Giorno can make a plethora of animals to help him out, or, instantly kill somebody. 2 ways, actually, going through their entire lifespan, and or, reflecting damage back onto a person if it's fatal. So yeah, it's not the best ability, but the enhanced senses could have an effect in this fight, I'll be honest. So personally, I think Giorno's best ability by far is his healing. Thanks to Life Giver, he has the ability to create life. And what is life? Human body parts, or humans in general. Giorno is able to self-heal by, the objects around him. He's able to turn his ladybugs into eyeballs or fingers or even forearms in some examples. He's able to turn anything around him into human body parts for himself and his team. So Giorno actually has a really good self-healing ability that, other stand users just don't have. Giorno has a plethora of abilities. Yes, he only uses them a few times, but they're still there in his kit. And the two major ones, Life Giver and Healing, are actually the ones he primarily uses a lot. Those two are kind of the really good ones here in terms of overall, wellness and battle. So yeah, I think Giorno is pretty overall a strong stand user compared to Jolyne. Jobber, explain Giorno's AP and speed, because it's actually kind of contentious.
Alright, so I've been working in the lab for quite a bit trying to properly scale Go Experience's AP and speed, and I think I've got it. Okay, so this is it's more straightforward than Jolyne, in my opinion at least. So for AP and speed, this all just really just comes from the whole King Crimson versus Silver Chariot, at least both their fights, right? So at least the first fight in the flashback, we know that these two fought for at least a good amount of time, right? And what we specifically see near the end of the flashback is that, Diavolo and King Crimson are able to not only react to Silver Chariot with its oncoming strike, but activate their ability, skip time, go behind them, or go behind Polnareff, right, who's already had this long fight, right? He's still trying to figure out his ability. And even though that, they're right behind, let's say Polnareff isn't fast enough to defend himself, at least fully turn around to defend himself or something like that, even though this guy just skipped behind him, did a little monologue and stuff. And then later on, Polnareff with prep time comes back. This time they're completely prepared, right? And this time Polnareff actually has a chance. And what we see is that they're at least relative, right? If they're on the same level, right? Because Polnareff already anticipates, okay, this guy can skip time, right? And guy appears behind him. He's able to at least kind of cut him, but Diablo's still able to move out of the way. And later on he's still able to kill him, right? And had the AP to do so. And this is the same Polnareff and Silver Chariot that is able to compete with, Star Platinum, for example. And I'm not saying that Diavolo fully scales to, let's say, a base Silver Chariot or a Silver Chariot's armor off. I'm just saying at least he should be relative at the very least, right? And of course there might be some contentions okay, maybe it's just fully the ability doing all the work, right, for Diavolo.
I'm the contentious one here.
Yeah. And then, of course, we scale, King Crimson to at least Sticky Fingers, right? Sticky Fingers is at least fast enough and strong enough to hurt, King Crimson, at least be able to react to him and, at least be able to get the drop on in some cases. And then we have, Go Experience being able to fight Sticky Fingers, not being able to overpower him, not even have let's say the same strength or even speed, right? But at least be able to try to contend. And then we also have literally just King Crimson. Even when Giorno's completely prepared for him, right? It doesn't matter. Giorno just gets blitzed by King Crimson, and it's not a contest. So at least for that type of scaling, we can at least put Giorno at least massively, Giorno and Go Experience massively faster than light, and also city level very safely, at least scaling to these characters.
So basically, what Jobber's trying to say is that Giorno is arguably around Jolyne's level in terms of AP and speed, roughly. They're not on par, but they're close enough to each other where it really wouldn't matter. It's more like abilities would come into play pretty heavily here. Would you say so?
Yeah, I guess I could say so in certain scenarios. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting here, and I guess this is the part of the video where me and Jobber kind of give our opinions on how this fight would kind of play out, because it's really interesting how both their abilities would kind of react to each other. Wouldn't you say?
It just seems like Giorno has more options.
Yeah, that's more or less what I was probably going to say too, is that Giorno just has a lot. Now, if it's in character, let's just, hypothetically say for the people in the back, if it's in character, Giorno's not going to use a lot of his abilities, but self-healing and just, Life Giver and just making random objects into life is still a pretty powerful ability. So more or less, Giorno can manipulate the battlefield and self-heal. Yeah, you can say Jolyne can self-heal too, but it's only stitching. Stitching wounds and repairing wounds are completely two different things here. So Giorno does have a unique advantage over her, but if this is out of character and we give him, enhanced senses, life exhaustion, damage reflection, I'm gonna be honest here, total meta's opinion here, he's just absolutely crushing her. Life exhaustion, enhanced senses, damage reflection, life giver, healing. If it's out of character, yeah, I wouldn't say he's washing. I more or less personally feel like it actually turned out like, you know, the Bruno fight where, you know, Giorno was getting his ass completely handed to him, and at the very end, he actually outsmarts him. I think that's how the fight would more or less go. Now, I'm not trying to downplay Jolyne. Jolyne is creative, she's powerful, and we kind of need to talk about their intelligence here, so I guess this is actually a pretty good segue here. You know, the whole like Mobius strip feat is incredibly unique, funky, it worked. You know, she was able to in that moment, you know, say, hey, let me make an infinity symbol 3D, basically that a Morbius strip is, in the moment to fight against Sea-Moon. That is great and all. I truly do think that's probably one of the better intelligence feats in JoJo, but Giorno does have his. You know, Giorno fought against Chocolata and did trigonometry mid-air, proceeded then to make a beetle in his head after punching him, and then proceeded to play dead and outsmart him yet again in the same instance, all within a fragmentary couple seconds. Like, don't get me wrong, making a Mobius strip is cool and all, but you know, doing math on the fly then to outsmart your opponent with your abilities, which you probably do in this fight, is just pretty insane in and of itself, honestly.
Bro, he's 15 and he did this. He's not even old.
And I guess we need to also bring this up too, since you know Jobber's making the joke there, but like Giorno figures out all these abilities within a week. Jolyne does all of her abilities and figures out her powers within 4 months. If we're gonna bring in skill and prodiginess into this video, yeah, Giorno definitely does have some leaps and bounds over her in terms of abilities and powers. I'm not gonna downplay Jolyne. Hell, I'll even give her the benefit of the doubt. You know, let's give her outlier feat. Let's give her outlier feat, her strength feat. You know, her wires can cut through people. You know, she could pull a Star Platinum against Dio and just, you know, completely lob off Giorno's head. That's totally possible. Is that in character for her? No. Does she do that consistently, chopping off people's limbs? No. Can she do it? Yes. But I just don't see it happening. And, you know, Giorno in and of himself is pretty smart. So, you know, I don't think a situation where he would be in a disadvantaged state like that would ever occur, personally speaking. But I don't think this is going to be like a one-sided wash. I think it's going to be pretty even for the majority of it. But, you know, Giorno just has too much. That self-healing ability is a bitch. I'ma just flat out state it. He can make anything, his eyeballs or his organs, in an instant. I just think it's too much. Jobber, I need your take here, bud.
So my take on this battle is that, okay, so for equal and okay, so let's go for unequal stats real quick, okay? Unequal stats, obviously I lean towards Giorno, at least in this case. I think it's safer to lean towards his scaling compared to Jolyne's in that like sort of case. But let's talk about something more interesting. What do you think about equal stats, right? We want to talk about their skills, their abilities, their experience, and their intelligence, right? How are they gonna handle this? Okay, now I'm gonna be flat out honest with you, and it's gonna be disheartening. Okay,
I want Jolyne
to win.
I'm
still siding with Giorno. Yeah, we all want Jolyne.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't like
Giorno.
Like, he's cool and all. I like him. His stand's cool. I think it's probably one of the best. I still want Jolyne to win. I like her better.
Yeah,
but it's just the math isn't equal, bud. It's sad to say.
Yeah, and the thing is, right? So we have, at least for their abilities, right? Okay, Giorno has way better abilities, right? And not only that, but he used them so effectively that even though Jolyne has these really good intelligence feats with their abilities, right? She has a simple ability, and she just takes it to these extreme lengths, which is very commendable, okay? And it makes sense about like how she takes it to these extreme lengths, right? The Mobius strip, right? She's forced to because she's going up against characters that might be a little bit similar to Giorno in terms of that they just have way better abilities than just her strings in general. So she has to get more and more creative to take down these like, you know, higher tier, better ability opponents. But with Giorno, it's just simply too much. Like there's not gonna be much she's gonna do when she hits a frog and she dies, or she gets hit by a Go experience inevitably, right? Especially since that her strings are all connected to her. So as soon as she gets hit by like, you know, Go experience, you know, little life shot ability, right? And her senses are like fried, the fight's over immediately. It just won't matter. And then you get to the whole like, you know, let's say her best intelligence feat is like, okay, the Mobius strip, right? Okay, Giorno's blows out of the water by literally, I know
trigonometry.
We've been saying it a lot. Yes, we've been saying a lot, but that's insane. Yeah. That's literally insane.
Trigonometry is extremely complicated, and the fact that he was able to weave in his abilities within that, you know, fragment of a moment, I'll be real with you, is crazy. Actually, it actually might even be a speed feat. I'm gonna be real with you, like a real-time speed feat, just off the cuff. But yeah, Giorno has a lot.
And he even like had like a multi-step plan, like, oh, I knew you were gonna do this, so I kicked this and I did trigonometry that went through your head, but actually I also planted a bug inside of you, so that because I knew you played like dead and tried to capture my friend, and then the thing would kill you, and then I moved barrage. You're like, well, what? This is too
so
much
in like a few seconds. And no, that's without damage reflection, life exhaustion. Like, he's just not using his full kit to its fullest potential. And we're going out of character here, just, you know, make a counter to, you know, Jobber's like, you know, equal stats. Giorno just has too much. It's sadly to say, he's just so damn powerful. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Part 5 would have been really different if he actually used his full potential, just to, you know, frankly say it. But I think that's all for this video. I don't think we have to talk about anything else. Jobber, you wanna, you know, if any side notes or anything?
My thoughts. Okay, I'm glad this fight happened, right? Me and Mena's discussed this, right? It's way better than just, you know, the normal, you know, Bucciolati versus Jolyne, but instead it's the son of Dio versus the daughter of Jotaro. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. Definitely, man, it's so interesting discussing.
It really is, because you could. I'll probably leave this in the video. Is that, you know, you could actually hype up Jolyne a bit more, and, you know, we could give her high ball stats. Fuck it, give her it all. I still think it'd be close enough to where Giorno could win, even with low ball stats. I'll be straight with you. Out of character, it's just, this is really intriguing. I like to see the comment section. I think this is an opener topic, to be honest. I wonder how people can actually see this video. Well, I think that's all. I don't think we have to talk about anything else. I think this is a pretty good general overview of this fight. It was kind of laid back, fun, kind of a podcast type of power scaling video. I think it's pretty fun doing stuff like this with Jobber. Also, congratulations to Jobber to hitting 100K, bud. There you go. So, like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Stay hydrated. I'll see you in the next one, ladies and gentlemen.